Kits and wagers, the 25-26 season. Let's go, Chris. We had a summer. We are still in summer, but we're back for a new season. We are exactly 1 week away from the new Premier League season. Chris, happy summer. I got my summer kit on. You have, it looks like it's cold out there for some reason. You have a long sleeve jacket on, but that is your kit for today. No summer kit for you.
No summer kit for me. It's 7:42 in the morning right now, so as far as temperature goes, it is still warming up. That's why I got the hoodie on, but got my Ballard FC hat on as always. This is my hood. We just the USL2 national final was last weekend. Ballard was in the final against Vermont Green FC. I think Vermont Green won it late in the match. Second time in 3 years that Ballard has been to the final. They got a really good squad, bunch of local players. It's kind of fun to watch. The games are great, so I'm always repping. And I believe you've got a Ballard FC kit too, so you're sometimes repping. I'm always repping.
Oh no, I'm always repping Ballard FC.
Okay.
That's my squad.
And you've got a vintage RotoWire hat on too, since the big revamp here this summer.
I'm waiting on the new hat. We'll see when that arrives. So this is our first show back. We got to rebrand a little bit. If you haven't been over at the site, rotowire.com, check it out. If you need a subscription, if you don't subscribe over the summer, YouTube 15 is the code. YouTube 15 over at rotowire.com. What division is that USL? Is that USL like 1?
USL
I know you.
2.
Okay, USL is coming out with their promotion relegation.
Yep.
And I've been seeing all this stuff. They have I think 4 levels, and then there's going to be even deeper levels than that. But I saw the result. I don't keep up with Ballard FC in the summer is what I'll say.
They only play in the summer. Come on, dude.
Yeah, that's right. There's a local team here. I'm not even sure.
The Flint team was in the semifinal.
Oh no. The Tulip team, Tulip City FC, I think is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what they play in actually. I'm gonna have to look this up here. I didn't even think they're in a real league. I don't think it's not a real.
Not NWSL.
NWPL.
NWPL, yeah.
Midwest Premier League.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe they'll join up the USL. But no, I was saying the Vermont Green thing, because of their kits, they're always, I feel like I always see them pop up on Twitter, and I think, big man Bernie Sanders is a supporter because he's a Vermont guy as well. So it's always popping up in the news. But it was a cool battle between logos and kits between Ballard FC and Vermont Green. But we're talking the Premier League. We're 3 minutes in.
We can go on all day about this, but we gotta talk Prem.
We gotta get the Premier League here. So looking back at last season, Liverpool finished 10 points above Arsenal in first place. Manchester City were 71. Chelsea were in 69, and so on. Chris, it's been a busy summer. We're not going to really cover every single transfer because there's been a lot of transfers, and there's still transfers going on. But your team, Liverpool, they are the favorite because they are spending a lot of money, and they haven't really spent too much on center backs. They haven't spent any on center backs yet, but they are still the favorite to win the Premier League. Are you going to bet on Liverpool to win the league this year, Chris?
Am I going to, or did I already?
Plus 180 to win the Premier League, that is.
Yeah, I put a bet down on Liverpool to win just because I do this every year. I put one in June, and I got them at plus 225 back then. That was before before they had made any serious transfers. That was during the Club World Cup. So yeah, I mean, plus 180. I feel like, as a bettor, you look at that, they strengthened up front for sure. I'm very weary of their center back situation. Definitely the wing, the Kirkej and Frimpong coming in helps a lot. I think they have, at left back, they're very set, right back, very set. But center back, only having Konate and Van Dijk, and then, the sometimes oft injured Joe Gomez as your third option after having sold Kwanzaa to Leverkusen. A little bit concerning. You're like one big injury to Van Dijk away from like having to trot out Konate and Gomez together, or Konate and Endo, or Gomez and Endo, or like you get thin quick there. So while they went big up front. I love that. I am a little concerned, and the plus 180 just is not good enough value for me to like. If I was not a fan to go and bet that. So I don't know. There's some other interesting ones. I don't think I'd ever bet the Arsenal plus 225. That show me type of thing. City at plus 300 is I think for the most interesting one, aside from maybe Chelsea at plus 850 that I'm seeing. Is there? Would you take a swing on City or Chelsea or Arsenal?
I should say that I didn't even mention we're talking about futures. We're previewing
Yeah.
the season. We're gonna get your bets. We're gonna do top 4, top 6, winner, top 10, relegation, bottom 10, whatever. A player over unders in terms of goals. I thought you were gonna mention Salah and Liverpool to win. Salah leading goal scorer and Liverpool to win is plus 900. I think that one was up your alley because I think you've done the Haaland Man City one in prior seasons. So I felt like you were gonna mention that.
I'm interested. It's hard to just like I have like the Holland City bet, and I think when Liverpool won it in 21, was it Salah who was the golden boot? I thought he shared it maybe with a few people, but I'd have to double check. I don't know. Like you add Verts, you add Ekatike, you lose Diaz. I feel like they got a lot stronger up front, and last season like Salah was obviously amazing, but it becomes more difficult to see him. I feel like they'll share the load a lot more this season, where you might see more output from the guys they added. I think Cody Gakpo's potentially primed for a bit of a breakout now that he has less of a block to start on the left wing. So I think it would be hard to make that bet.
Yeah, definitely agree. When you add a new striker that's not Darwin Nunez up there to take away goals and such. I mean, Arnie Slot mentioned, I think it might have been today, this week, he was like, yeah, we got guys who can play center back. We got Andrew Robertson. We have Endo, and he was like listing guys, and I was like, that's your backup center back solution. Not.
I'm just imagining Isak absolutely bodying Andy Robertson on a corner kicker, like a counter. Rabo's like 5'10". Isak's just tall, fast, powerful.
It was
Holland. Like imagine Robertson trying to mark Holland, from center back. Like that's just not gonna work. Like
they've already. I mean, it's only preseason, but I was already figuring going into the season that they were going to be not great defensively, and then they're just allowing goals in a lot of these games in the preseason. But again, that doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, in terms of bets, I'm not really looking at. I don't really do the plus 180, 225 for Arsenal, plus 300 Manchester City. It's especially this season. I mean, we've had the busy off season. It seems like this could be like one of the best Premier League seasons ever for the top teams. That's not to say what the rest of the leagues are going to look like, just because we're getting these transfers where these teams are building basically two squads at the top of the league. We're basically getting the Super League right now. We're kind of seeing what the super teams look like as you compare how many players they're adding with all the matches that are going on. It seems like it's only going to get worse when you compare the top teams. Even Manchester United are adding a bunch as well. But just for value's sake, I actually would rather like Manchester City plus 110 just to finish top 2. We know what happened last season, but they still finished 3 points behind Arsenal last season. I know all these teams added new players, but Rodri is basically a new signing for him this season, and then you throw in the other players. You don't have an older KDB who wasn't healthy the entire season anyway. You throw in all these other players for Manchester City. They've only finished 3 points behind Arsenal. And we're getting plus odds. I know it's plus 110, but just to finish top 2 for Manchester City, I kind of like those odds. I think no matter how it's going to play out in the top 3, I feel more comfortable taking Pep and Manchester City in the top 2 more than Arsenal. And I don't want to say more than Liverpool after last season, but historically, Manchester City last 5 years have been a safer bet than Liverpool for a full season. So
100%.
So yeah, Manchester City top two, plus 110. As we get moving on here, top four. A lot of these odds we've talked in prior seasons. We didn't. There's thing here top five. I don't even know if I've seen a top five odd before, but we're
Yeah.
getting that this season. So anything else you like for some of these teams to finish top?
Yeah. I mean, quickly on the to finish top two, I actually like Chelsea at plus 300. I think that's an interesting one because coming off the Club World Cup, they, for the whatever third season in a row, like just continue to buy players. They've made some nice additions. I'm really a big fan of the João Pedro addition up front, and then Liam Delap as well. Like I feel like those are two upgrades over Nico Jackson. So I'm a fan of that. And like other than that, I mean, I just saw Colwell blew out his knee, which is a disappointment because he's pretty solid. But I think the project is coming along, and so I'm interested in them at plus 300 in the top two. And then, yeah, like moving on to like the top four, top five. Yeah, the top five, I thought that was odd to see that too. But, with Europa League and the Conference League now kind of adding in another slot, it just becomes more important. But looking at that, I mean, the top four, you're really there's you kind of Newcastle being the next out of those four teams we talked about. And then it's really coupled United, Villa, Tottenham, those like plus kind of 400, 500 odds. But this is not what I would not bet this, but I would go down in the number a bit more. But Forest at plus 2,800, they made a pretty good run at it last season. They will be a lot busier now with Conference League, I believe, or if I don't know what the situation with Palace and Europa League. But I think there's some value in Forest this season. You can also go down and like grab them later on. Top five for Forest is 1,200. Top six is plus 800, and then top 10, which this is the one I would take because top six is a lot to ask. But Forest at plus 130 in the top 10 is kind of tasty. Is there any other teams that you would consider?
Let's get into the Forest. Let's get into the Forest here. Because I got a bet that I wrote down. Nottingham Forest plus 850 to be relegated. Relegated. Yeah. So this is a team. They're all of a sudden they're going to be playing. Okay, maybe they play their B squad in UEFA in Europa Conference League, but I don't think it's going to be like that. We saw a couple years ago Newcastle was thrown in the Champions League, and they just didn't really have the depth to deal with Champions League and Premier League. And maybe some of this is going to depend on how they're managed in non-league games. But you just look at Forest and what this team is. It's not a ton of depth. They added a couple Brazilians. They haven't really added too much else yet. They added Dan Doyle
from Bologna.
He replaces Alanga, which is fine. They're still looking to add another midfielder, which okay. We have the situation with Morgan Gibbs White, where I'm sure you saw on Twitter the video of Gibbs White re-signing with Nottingham Forest and him like being forced to say that with the owner of the club next to him with him behind his back kind of a thing. But you just look at their team and they didn't have a ton of injuries last season. So they didn't really have to go deep into the bench. I mean, you look at the defenders outside of Milenkovic, Murillo, Nico Williams, Ola Aina. They didn't really play any of those guys. Like Willy Boley is on this team. And when was the last time he was a regular player in the Premier League? You have other players, you like all these guys like Gibbs White, Elliot Anderson, Hudson-Odoi had a good season. But, you throw in, Jota Silva, Igor Jesus, Jared Cunha, all these new guys they added. Okay, how much are these guys going to play? Chris Wood, is he going to be scoring every other game like he did last season? The XG, the overperformance he had last season. I think that you look at the second half of the last season for Nottingham Forest, they kind of fell apart a little bit. Their defense wasn't as sound. They weren't scoring as above XG as they did in the first half of the season. Now you throw in these added games, and I just don't think that they're going to be performing at the same level. Maybe their defense is crazy again. Matt Sells is crazy again, but I think plus 850 to be relegated. It's a long shot and probably not great odds. Like I feel like I should be getting plus 2,000 because Nottingham Forest just finished 7th. But I'll give it out anyway. Nottingham Forest plus 850 to be relegated.
I hate how well reasoned of a take that is. Just too sound. Like that's my issue with it. It's too sound of a take.
Apologies.
Yeah, I mean Anthony Elanga leaving in Newcastle is a huge kind of departure for them. But like it's re-signing Gibbs White was big, as he was like if they lost him, to I guess it was rumored to Tottenham, that would have been a huge miss for them. So keeping him is big, but yeah, they haven't really, like, aside from that guy Dan Ndoye, I haven't really watched any of him from Bologna, and then they got a couple guys from Brazil.
You saw him in the Euros a couple years ago for Switzerland, I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, outside of that, they haven't added a lot of steel, and like you make a good point in when you start playing in Europe and you're playing whatever, is it 10 games for league play now, or 9 games, 10 games?
I don't know if conference league is. I think it might be. Isn't it 8?
Okay, maybe it's 8. Yeah, I think you're. Well, it used to be 6. Yeah, I think 8 sounds right. But yeah, so you're adding 8 midweek matches. Your squad depth is the same as it was last season when you weren't playing in this competition,
and you didn't have injuries.
Yeah, it didn't have injuries. So that's a good point. We're August 8th right now, so they'll definitely, hopefully in the next 3 weeks they can add some more guys. I think that could help. But yeah, no, good point. I mean, I just looked at it as like, okay, they were successful last season. They made a really good run. They had a close opportunity at Champions League. And why would they drop out? But, the extra pressure of another competition could certainly hurt them. But top 10 plus 130, I'm still interested in it.
Still. All right, I got another team for you. We're looking at Brighton here. We're going back to the top finishes. Brighton, I didn't even look at these odds initially, but Brighton top 5 is plus 1,000. Brighton top 6 is plus 500. And then Brighton top 10 is minus 115. I like this one. I definitely like top 10. I mean, this team was 8th last season, 61 points. They're 5 above Bournemouth and Brentford, who are 9th and 10th right there. And I think they're going to be better. This is the second season of Hertzler. I think he's molding the team, building the team more so of what he wanted. We've seen the clip of Estupinian passing the ball to no one at the end of the game against Liverpool. That was his final touch for Brighton. So he's building the team of what he wants. Obviously, we have the latest news of Baleba possibly going to Manchester United, and that's another situation in itself. But they still have the depth. This team has more depth than Nottingham Forest. I think first off is probably the biggest thing here. Even if they lose Baleba, they have Hinshelwood, they have Ayari, they have Diego Gomez. All these guys have played significant minutes in the Premier League as defensive midfielders. In the attack, they've added some guys, and they kind of have all the same guys as well. Miedema is staying. Reuter's back from his injury. Minta had a good debut season last year. Welbeck is still kicking. Again, they added some guys. And then they added big guys in the back line. De Kuiper on the back line. Biscagli, Kapala. They just have depth, and I think it's pretty solid depth. And it's like they're too deep almost at every position. And if you just look at them compared to these other teams, maybe top 5 is a stretch, but I think it's reasonable to even take top 5. Top 6, though, plus 500. Just when you look at them compared to the other teams, we're going to have Newcastle with extra games. Aston Villa still lacking some depth, extra games. Tottenham are going to have extra games. What are they going to look like? They're up here in the odds. Manchester United, can you ever trust them? So that's my thoughts on the situation. I think Brighton top 6 is one of my favorite bets going into the season. Wow.
That is an interesting one. I was thinking about that too, just because, you mentioned some of the guys they lost, but like they sold, who was it? I mean, João Pedro is a big miss, but he was quality for Brighton, but not like, I feel like at Chelsea, he's going to hit the next level kind of. So that's a big, and then Adingra to Sunderland is less of one, but I feel like AC Milan really got some good value on Estupiñán for 17 million euros for left back. It's 27. That I feel like that could be a big miss for them. But then you mentioned they go back and get De Kuiper from Bruges. So he's probably a like for like replacement. And then I didn't know this kid until he got transferred to Brighton. But Shara, how do you say this?
Charalampos
Paralampos
Instolis.
Christoulis? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Love that. That's an awesome name. 18 years old, 35 million euros. I feel like this is like, again, a classic Brighton, sign a kid who's young for, 35 million euros is not cheap, but then go sell him for like 70 in 3 seasons. So yeah, I don't know. Definitely an interesting bet. And Hertzler having his second season and like his fingerprints are all over it. No European play to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
That's a definite value add for just like the longevity in the season. So that's a cool, interesting bet too.
And they have James Milner, so you can't go wrong,
dude.
Big Jim.
Milner taking 20 on for Diogo. That's a classy move. Dude, I don't know if you saw that, but that was cool. He changed his number from 6 to 20.
Okay.
To honor Diogo.
That.
You got that guy's all-time Prem player.
Man, classic Milner.
Yeah.
We got anything else for top 10 teams, or are we moving to the relegation area here?
No. For top 10, I had Forest at plus 130. Love Bournemouth, perhaps. I think they did sell off some guys, which at least on their back line, which could make it trouble, like Kirkesh and missing a big one.
Well, the bad news here is Huijsen left for Real Madrid. You mentioned Kirkesh, but also today, we're talking Friday, August 8th. Sounds like Zabarnia is also off to PSG. So basically, three pretty really good defenders on their way out. I think that's one of the reasons, they're plus 150 to finish top 10. Also, one of the reasons I didn't want to look at that because
that makes sense.
Not a great situation there. They're already entering the season with a couple injuries to Lewis Cook and Ryan Christie as well, two of their most important players. So we'll see if they add someone.
That's funny when you sell your 3 of your starting back line to PSG, Liverpool, and Real Madrid. Like you probably are going to feel a bit of a hit the next season.
And you only finished 9th last season with those guys.
With that quality, yeah.
So that part is worrying.
Yeah.
And it's just funny when you're looking at these mid-table teams, maybe outside of Brighton, because they actually add guys. But like Bournemouth haven't really added too many guys. Like they haven't gotten a replacement center back yet. They added Truffert for Kirkesh, but other than that, it's just like, okay, they're getting guys back on loan more than anything instead of actually going out and signing players. It's just the difference in the top of the league, middle league, where even comparing to like the promoted teams who are all pretty busy in the market. It's just I don't know. Maybe it's always been like this to an extent, but it's kind of funny every summer when you see things happen like this in the transfer window.
Yeah. The two other things I want to mention that are a pretty good segue to the relegation is, well, the first one's Sunderland to finish top 10 is plus 2,500 or plus 2,500.
What? No.
Yeah, listen, hear me out. And this is not a serious bet that I'm going to take, but it's just an interesting number because they've been spending like I think top 5 in most money spent here in the league so far.
I saw top
Obviously,
7. It might be top 5 now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big step up from the championship. I just wanted to note that's plus 2,500. The intention is clear; they want to stay up. Top 10 is a huge ask, but obviously after last season, where all 3 of the promoted teams were just complete butt cheeks. But then the other one is Everton plus 200. I like this one. David Moyes, his pedigree speaks for itself. Like he's taken some bad teams and like made them quality. Most notably Everton back in his first stint there, West Ham as well. Everton need to get somebody. Like I know they've been talking about a Jack Grealish loan. They got this brand new spanking stadium. It feels like they haven't really added many guys. But that's interesting for a top 10 is plus 200. So, but the Sunderland segue could be a good segue into to the relegation scrap.
I like the Everton shout. I just want to wait and see what else they add. They've been in these Jack Grealish talks. They still need a right back because they were initially in the Kyle Walker talks and then some other players. They just really haven't added the players yet. They added Dewsbury Hall, which I think is great. They added Tierno Barry. So add another midfielder to the bunch, add a right back. I think Everton would be a pretty good bet here. Plus 200 right now. You may even want to take that bet before they start making a couple moves in case they're really, high profile, but But yeah, I know you got a relegated squad you want to look at here, but
Do I? Oh yeah, I got a couple. I mean, this is less interesting than some of the other ones. It's classic top three promoted teams have the top odds at Burnley plus 160, Sunderland 175, and Leeds is plus 450. I am interested in two teams outside of those three. Last year, three teams come up, three teams go down. Are we going to shake that trend this year? I think maybe so. Wolves is plus 1,200. Lost Cunha. That's kind of a bit. He was like pretty much mid-season, pulled them from what could have been impending doom. And then the other one, so that's plus 1,200. I've said this before on our futures podcast. Like every season, I'm kind of coming in and being like, yeah, Wolves might go down. It hasn't happened this is our fifth season of doing this podcast. So I'm always kind of concerned about that one. But the other one that I think has a little bit more legs is Brentford plus 1,200. They've got as we know, they've got a great organization. They stayed in place. Losing Thomas Frank to Tottenham, I think, is a really, really, really big miss. And again, they lost, I think, was a Norgard to Arsenal. They lost a couple other guys, their front line essentially from the past two seasons is completely gone, or will be gone by the time we start the season. So that's a huge, huge miss. So they lost front line, Norgard. The back line's okay. I'm just a little bit concerned, but it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities to see that, like, similar to Brighton, they just run well where they get people in the right places and they make good decisions. So I don't know. I like the plus 1,200 for them to be not. I guess that's actually to finish last. That's not to be relegated. So the odds are probably closer to like maybe 600. Would be my guess. I have to look that up, but an interesting team to consider for a relegation bet.
Yeah, plus 300 to be
Okay.
relegated. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm seeing plus 1,600 to finish bottom for Brentford. Yeah, I think that makes sense, but I still think when you compare them to some of these other teams near the bottom, that I actually think their defense might be better or should be better if they're getting basically Aaron Hickey and Rico Henry back from 2 season long injuries for both those guys. So left and right back to go with Coyote, who was a right back last season who came on in the January transfer window. And they pretty much have all the other guys that have been there. Nathan Collins still there. Vandenberg still there. So they have those guys. They lost important other guys, but Thiago, their forward, they added last season. He missed most of the season through a variety of ailments. If they lose Wissa, that's a problem. But I mean, Kevin Schad, Fabio Carvalho, it seems like Carvalho is going to turn into a real role. I still think they have like the base of players, and they have Edwards, their former set piece coach, turned manager. So he's familiar with the team. He's familiar with how Frank ran the team. So I don't think it's going to be like too massive of a jump down. Maybe because they don't have the same players as last season, maybe we're looking at like 10 to 15th place. But I think I would be surprised if they are one of the teams relegated, because I still think they're just overall their sound defense and overall squad is better than at least 5 other teams, I'd say.
Yeah. You know who they should buy for 50 million pounds?
Darwin Nunez.
Harvey Elliott.
He's been in the talks for Tottenham, hasn't he?
Yeah, in like the Bundesliga, but I'm selfishly just that guy would shine at Brentford, I feel like.
Yeah, he'd still, I mean, I guess he'd go on the right wing, but like Damsgaard is kind of in that role of kind of what Harvey Elliott does to an extent. Granted, maybe throw both those guys in there.
Yeah.
But
who did you say?
Damsgaard.
No. Before, who did you want to ask? Who who they should sign? Who did you say?
Darwin.
Oh.
I thought that's what you were gonna say.
Well, he's gone now, but yeah.
I was gonna throw Wolves in here too. You mentioned it. We said it last season, and then they still finished 16th, but they're plus 320 to be relegated. I don't know. they look better at the second half of last season, even without Cunha, but this team is still, well, maybe like John Arias is going to be awesome for him. Maybe Fer Lopez is going to be awesome for him. This is a team where you look at it, it's like, okay, sound defense because, they play defense. They have some good players, but no one like jumps off the page. So it's kind of why you want to bet against them. But then you compare them to the other team, the promoted teams even, and then maybe a team like West Ham or something. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if this team is really going to finish, is going to be relegated or not. But is that all we have for the teams? Do we have any other bets here?
No, I think we covered off teams here. I don't have many, but I got a couple individual bets.
Okay. Yeah, I wrote down Fulham top 10 plus 240, Everton top 10 plus 200 as well, in addition to the Brighton ones. But yeah, getting some of these player props here. Haaland plus 130 to lead the league in goal scoring. Salah plus 450. Isak is plus 600, and we still don't know where he's going to be playing. It seems like a bad bet because we're a week before the season, and it doesn't seem like he has a team, so he's going to be down matches no matter where he signs. Palmer's 1,800, and then Victor Gyökeres is plus 650 over at Arsenal. Do you have a preference here? Is it just like Haaland? You can't bet against Haaland right now?
I do have a preference. I love Cole Palmer at plus 1,800. This is a bet I'll be making. I don't know. Last season was a little bit disappointing. Still ended up with 15 goals and 8 assists. Season before was 22 and 11. I think last year he kind of like was pretty. 15 goals is still a lot in the Prem. Let me be clear, but I think he bounces back. I think it'll benefit. Like his assist numbers will go up with João Pedro. I think because Nico Jackson was like goated at missing breakaways. I feel like. But yeah, I think Chelsea are going to be better this season. And I like Cole Palmer a lot. So I plus 1,800 skip Salah completely. Like I said, we kind of got into that right away. Haaland is obviously the odds are too high. Like, it's like, no, not a ton of value there. So I'm skipping that one, but I like Palmer.
All right, let's get into Palmer here because I have under 16.5 for him. Under 16.5 goals. Looking back at his last two seasons, 22 goals in that first season, 9 PKs. Last season, 15 goals, 5 PKs. 15 goals, 3,200 minutes. And remember, he wasn't even registered for the group stages of Europa Conference League last season. Now we're throwing in Champions League. I don't think he's getting to 3,200 minutes. I don't think he's playing as much in league play. I think it'll be lower than that, maybe 3,000. Even with no injuries, I think will be lower than 3,200 minutes for Cole Palmer. So I think you throw that in there. I'm not saying he's going to lose PKs, but João Pedro was a really good PK taker for Brighton. And I wouldn't be surprised if Palmer misses one, maybe João Pedro comes in and takes some. But I think you also have to take in João Pedro and Liam Delap. You mentioned them earlier in the show. Goal scorers here, maybe better, more refined goal scorers than Nico Jackson was. Maybe that's going to take away some goals as well. And this is 16.5, 15 last season, 3,200 minutes. I'm taking under 16.5 and going straight up against Chris's plus 1,800 bet to win the Golden Boot.
Yeah, maybe it's Palmer for most assists instead. I don't know what that. I got to double check what that is, but that's a good point. Yeah, I will say you say he might play less. He played 2,600 minutes in 2 seasons ago, and he scored 22 goals. So 600 less minutes. He had more output there. So I mean,
he didn't. They didn't have anything that they now have Champions League. Is kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they didn't have anything 2 seasons ago, and last season again he didn't play group stages.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
Plus 500 most assists. Salah is plus 275. Saka 350. Verts 450. Palmer plus 500 right there. What else you got for player bets? Anything else you want to look at?
The next one was just the assist bet.
Okay.
I would be interested in getting into some over unders on goal totals, but yeah, Verts at plus 450. I love that one.
Yeah, just how many assists can Liverpool have? I think might be the question. Uh,
I mean, Salah almost had that. Whatever, he was closing in on the 20? I think is the record with Henry and KDB, and
yeah.
I think that's it. He was kind of closing in on it last season, but I don't think anyone's going to break that record this season. But Verts, you get them into double digits. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I pinpointed some other goal totals outside of Palmer. I'll start from the top here. Gyökeres under 18.5. 18.5 is a pretty big number for a guy who, is coming from Portugal. And again, it's a situation where is he going to have PKs? What are his minutes going to look like? Because there's Champions League. Arsenal have a deep team, so he's not going to be the number 9 for every match, basically. So 18.5 is a high number for your first season. Maybe it all comes to fruition and he's just scoring these Haaland-like numbers here. It's just possible. Maybe it's possible. I don't know if he's not at Haaland's level, but under 18.5 for Gyökeres. And then your guy, Hugo Ekitike, under 13.5. How many goals are Liverpool going to score here? Are all these guys going to be scoring goals? Maybe he's like the number 9 for the entire season and he scores 18 goals, but I don't think that's going to happen. So under 13.5 for him. And then I'm doing under 11.5 for Brian Mbeumo. He already overperformed last season at Brentford. Another situation where Manchester United have a ton of players in his position. So is he going to be starting every game? Probably not. Under 11.5 goals. He's got to fight with Cunha for shots. He's got to fight with what now appears to be Sesko for shots. Bruno taking shots outside of the box. Amad Diallo. He's got to fight for shots. And 11.5, that's a pretty high number, I think, for Mbeumo. So under there. So I got 4 unders because that is how you win future betting. What do you got, Chris? Or at least any thoughts on those?
Yeah, of course, I have thoughts on the Ekitike one. What was it, 11 or 13?
13.5.
Yeah. I mean, anything different than Darwin Nunez, you'd just expect to score more goals. But Darwin was always like, what was he? I guess I forgot what he was sitting at over the last couple seasons. But I think that's a good place to look and maybe add a few goals to see if it's possible. But I guess he was at, let's see, yeah.
Darwin had
5 goals last season. You got to pound that under.
Darwin had 11 in 2,000 minutes 2 seasons ago.
2 seasons. Yeah. So that's, I hope that Ekitike plays more than that, than 2,000 minutes. If he gets like 2,600, I think that your bet could be in trouble. But we'll see what happens with that. He's also like it's not like he's like a finished, like for his price, you'd think he'd be a finished product, but he's not totally. He's 22. You'd hope like so. I guess we'll see if he actually is the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said he's basically Isak. The future Isak is what the hope is what he can be like. Just because he's lanky and can dribble and pass a little.
A little more raw.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
You got anything else? Any more player bets here?
That's what I'm running with. Kept it pretty basic.
That's what we got on the first show of the season. We didn't do a future show last season. We just said we won every bet that we made, but now we have it. We have it in audio form, video form. We have all of our bets here. So, do you have a favorite bet, Chris, going into the season? Do you really like Nottingham Forest that much that it's your favorite bet, or is it something else?
Do I have a favorite bet? I like the Verts most assist bet. I'll do that. I think I will end up taking the Forest plus 130 in the top 10, despite how some of an argument you made. I don't like how there's one that I love, outright parlay here. Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland to be relegated. It's plus 250. That just like feels like one of those requisites. You got to just take the data from last season, put it back in there, and make it happen. So I kind of like that bet a lot too. And then Chelsea plus 300. I think like of the bets that I'll make, those are like 4 of them, and plus my Liverpool plus 225 that I already have.
I think that bet makes sense. Plus 250 there for those 3 relegated teams. I think that I'm going to have some videos on this, but I think Burnley, the way they play defense, might might help a little bit, but you just look at last season, it's what was it, 13-point difference between 17th and 18th place, 6 points the prior season, and just like all these numbers, these teams added players, so all these numbers kind of point against that. But that's all we have for the future show. We'll be doing some more shows going forward as usual. We'll have our usual bets. We might have a new format. I don't know. We haven't really talked about it yet, but Chris, thank you for your bets, and I'll see you in 38 game weeks to discuss the records between these bets. So see you 9 months from now.
Sounds great. Thanks, Adam.